especially if you are somebody that is also living in, like I was, in fear and worry and stressed out, and maybe even you have to take medicines, or you have experienced such dark things that you think there's life is just so bad. Why am I here? And why don't I go out? Well, then I like you to know that there is ways how to get out of there, that are without alcohol, without drugs, and without sex. You can do that. Yeah. So past events, they have such a big impact in the now still for most people, and I think we can say that yeah, there's hardly any people that are free of them. And me myself, I'm not enlightened. I'm far away from that. There's so many things that are still triggering me and holding me back from just being in a continuously in such a beautiful space. Yeah, but what I did, I went to a retreat, and after some months, after 3 months, about 3 months, I said, okay, now let's go back into the world and see if I can be living in this world. And I'm looking more and more for the challenges of where before I wouldn't even consider to go and live or to be. I look for that now, and I enjoy it even. It's not that I can always enjoy it, but pretty good. Still, if you ask me, what do you like more? To be now sitting here in the garden, enjoying the view on the mountain and with the village there and the birds around, or would I prefer to be sitting in the nature reserve under a very old pine tree and meditating for many hours in the day and just be in this beautiful space? Then I will tell you that the last I prefer. I still feel better there, but I'm a father, and I have by now I'm taking care of 5 kids. There's two extra, yeah, two are from my partner, but still, they are continuously in my field of attention, and that I don't want to combine that with sitting day in day out on the mountain. I would like to combine it a bit, being on the mountain a bit. But anyway, I've chosen to be living with the family, and I'm living here near the school. That, well, you cannot see it on the background, but the school is just behind. And luckily, the school, we had just heard yesterday that the school is finally, it can be a legal school. So that's great. And well, so anyway, yeah, so it's very beautiful. I hear a bird. What a neighbor. It's a bird. It's very beautiful to. I'm very happy that I have started this new way of life with Matrix Reimprinting and with EFT. And before, my life wasn't like that. I was just running away. I didn't know I was running away, but I was running away from myself, also from so much discomfort that I was having inside me. So I was going out in nature, and that was the only place where I wanted to be. Until I met a very, very, very nice, oh, I repeated it many times, a very nice girl. And I felt really, really good. Even I could be with her without being in nature, at least in the beginning of the relation. Um, but anyway, then my attention shifted to something else that I thought was very beautiful. And yeah, so yeah, not so straightforward story at the moment, but anyway, that's what I wanted to share a bit. I will come back. So I'm trying to find the line back of this story, what I started. That life hasn't been always so beautiful. I wasn't feeling happy, and I was trying to get out into nature, and I didn't know that I was running away really. Of course, as a boy, I just went and I went and I went, and then when I was a teenager, I kept going out to nature, and I was really fascinated by nature. I wanted to be out in nature, and I was looking for animals, and especially birds. And later, I started to work on nature conservation because of my studies. And of course, my studies were in that field because of my interest, of course. Anyway, so then after teenager, my life changed a lot, and I went quite down, and I was realizing that I just wasn't happy, and I just didn't know what to do with that. And I kept running away from people. But then when I was out in the most beautiful nature, I still didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel good at all. I felt I was afraid. I didn't recognize it, but it was fear what I had. And so even when I was far away from human, I didn't feel comfortable. So I had two struggles really. I wanted to get away from human because I was afraid of human, but then I was finding myself and I was afraid to be alone. So it was a very nice combination. And I was my when I was really diving into figuring out how natural system works and where the last specimens are, then I was very good in my activities, and I didn't need to be doing anything else. I could even be not eating, almost not sleeping, and it was fine. But as soon as I would be stopping and having time for myself, I would get these very bad feelings inside. So, if you know these feelings, then it's good to know that there are solutions to that. There is ways how to get out of there. And of course, you can do different kinds of drugs and alcohol and sex and all kinds of nice things that really take you away from this unpleasant feelings. But well, at least in me, it didn't solve those unpleasant feelings. It took me away from that, and it didn't get better. And it didn't get better. It only got worse. And then at a certain point where I was really stressed and felt really bad, and I had a very big mental crash, then I got into a psychosis, as I said already earlier in a video. And then I couldn't distinguish anymore between what was real and what were the dreams. And when I was asleep, I thought it was real, and when I was awake, I didn't. I just saw that there was the angels and the fairies and the devils were just around, and so I couldn't distinguish anymore. And luckily I got very fast to a psychiatry, and there they helped me at least to sleep again and to whatever and whatever many things. But then luckily after some days I took a pill that helped to get the chemistry at least better in me, and then I got a bit into a plant stage that I wasn't happy with, but I had to accept it for 2 years. I think I had to accept that I had to take those pills, and I accepted it. And after 1 year, I started to travel again and really have my dynamic life as I used to have. The only thing what I changed was I didn't take alcohol that much anymore, and almost nothing, and no more drugs, no more cannabis. That was out of the question for me since that moment. And that was, of course, a big help. And in general, I tried to sleep better and take care better. And I managed to raise my or lower my overall stress level. So when I had those peaks and valleys, I didn't get that stressed that I would be worried about having another psychosis. But then after some years, 4 years later, I think it was, then I got children, and with that there was quite a lot of extra dynamic of bad sleep and a lot of stress that I didn't know where it came from, and I never could be with kids crying babies, etc. But this was really not very pleasant when I got my own kids. I couldn't hear them suffering. No way, I couldn't hear them crying, and well, anyway, my stress levels increased to such a level that after some years, I did go again to the psychiatry to see if they could help me a bit because I was, well, my partner was getting worried more than I was, and then I took some extra pills or extra pills. I took again some medicine, and but I didn't want it, and I felt better. I was in a better mood. Let's say I wasn't that grumpy man, but I didn't feel pleasant, and the situation in the house wasn't getting better. So in the end, we split it. We, let's say, we divorced to say it simple. Um, and then I was happy with that. After a while, we divorced. But before we divorced, even I went to this retreat. What I said already, that it was fantastic for me. And that's where I discovered, after some days in the mountains, I discovered that I could be happy within my own body. And that was what I didn't know before. And that was the big eye opener for me with the Matrix Reimprinting, that I connected with something very beautiful within me. I didn't know it was there. And also, I didn't know where it came from, these bad feelings. But what I did figure out then is that I could connect with the good feelings in a different way, not using alcohol or drugs or sex, but just to be there and be me. And so this is was such a big eye opener. That was similar for me as when I met my first girlfriend. That it was like, whoa, the world can be so beautiful. I didn't know it. So yeah, so I put that on the same level. And yeah, that I like to share with you, and especially if you are somebody that is also living in, like I was, in fear and worry and stressed out, and maybe even you have to take medicines, or you have experienced such dark things that you think there's life is just so bad. Why am I here? And why don't I go out? Well, then I like you to know that there is ways how to get out of there, that are without alcohol, without drugs, and without sex. You can do that, and or it's possible to do that. Of course, if you can do that, that's up to you. And yeah, I would like you to know that I'm here, and I am, of course, after all these experiences, I became also a practitioner of Matrix Reimprinting and EFT. And with that, I love to accompany other persons too, to get to the bright side of life, because it's such a pleasure that you can say, if you can say, like, I think life is very beautiful. And I couldn't say that for so much part of my life. So, and to come back to this, that what I didn't know with Matrix Reimprinting, I discovered that these unpleasant feelings are there because of a reason. And by resolving where it all comes from, everything changes. And that's what I like to share in the next videos. So this one was a bit longer, and yeah, I hope that you will pick up what you can from this and start to see that there is a way to get to the bright side of life, because life will be so much more beautiful if we can all be here, and not being held back by all those earlier life events, as I call them. So it's just we can be here in a beautiful way together.